It was bad, guys. The Wildcats lost to Izzo's team, but what caught attention was the players arguing. Is that emotion or a problem? Let's analyze the news. First, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving more Wildcats news. The atmosphere surrounding Kentucky basketball right now is, at the very least, complex. The game against Michigan State in the Champions Classic not only exposed technical and tactical weaknesses, but also revealed tensions that spilled over from the court to the space where the players should have come together to find solutions. However, the perception of these heated scenes during a timeout requires a more nuanced analysis than superficial narratives that simply point to problems. They can be both a harbinger of greater challenges and a sign of something positive, passion and a desire for improvement. Tom Izzo, a seasoned veteran and recognized strategist, led his team with surgical precision. The Spartans dominated the game at various points, exploiting defensive gaps and imposing their offensive rhythm. For the Wildcats, the defeat was painful, but what caught attention was the argument between players during a timeout, captured by cameras and reported by ESPN's Chris Button. Mark Pope had to personally intervene to mediate the situation, signaling that emotions were running high. This scene can be interpreted in multiple ways. On the one hand, some see these moments as evidence of a fragmented locker room on the verge of collapsing under the weight of expectations and frustrations. Indeed, the Wildcats' start to the season has been troubled, and the mystery mentioned by Pope before the game against Louisville only adds fuel to speculation about possible internal problems. But there is another possible, perhaps more optimistic, interpretation. This exchange of words may reflect a group that is still deeply invested in achieving better results. When players argue heatedly on the bench, it suggests that they care a lot. They are dissatisfied with their current level of performance and want to find answers urgently. Coach Mark Pope, since his arrival in Kentucky, has faced the difficult challenge of rebuilding a winning culture amidst uncertainty. He inherited a roster in transition, with young talents still learning to navigate the turbulent waters of elite college basketball. The key to success in this process lies in transforming emotional energy, often chaotic, into constructive fuel within the team. Images from the timeout show that Pope is aware of this responsibility and is willing to get on the front lines to ensure emotions are channeled correctly. It's important to remember that crises like this have been experienced by other traditional programs. In similar situations, teams that have overcome initial difficulties have often emerged stronger as the season progresses. This emotional dynamic can be a turning point. It either transforms into a negative cycle of escalating friction, or it serves as an inflection point for players to realize the need for greater cohesion and communication. Furthermore, it's worth highlighting that Pope's leadership will be crucial in guiding the team through this turbulence. His experience as a player and coach, combined with his ability to connect with athletes, offers reasons for optimism. He seems to understand that individual passion needs to be molded into a collective effort, and his intervention during that timeout was emblematic of this. More than simply calming tempers, he was sending a clear message. We're in this together, and we're going to get through this by working as a unit. If Kentucky can convert this emotional intensity into collective growth, there's potential for this difficult phase. Mark Pope's start to the season at the helm of the Wildcats wasn't what many expected, especially for a team with championship aspirations and one of the most talked-about payrolls in college sports. With 5 games played in Pope's second season, the numbers speak for themselves. A 3-2 record, including humiliating losses under national spotlights. It's clear the honeymoon between coach and fans has come to an end. But is that enough to condemn the program's future? The answer seems far from as simple as recent performance suggests. Rick Pitino, an unavoidable figure in Kentucky basketball history, and perhaps Pope's biggest defender right now, brought a crucial perspective to the debate. In a frank interview, Pitino not only defended his former player, but also questioned the dominant narrative about the supposed $22 million payroll attributed to the Wildcats roster. According to Pitino, these numbers are exaggerated, unproven, and above all, distract from the real focus, which is the team's development on the court. Nobody said the payroll is $22 million. Nobody knows that, stated Pitino, highlighting that such speculation is common in high-level programs like Kentucky and St. John's, where he currently coaches. His confidence in Pope is unwavering. He fully believes that the coach can still get things going this season and transform the team into a formidable opponent by March. The criticism that the Wildcats are spending too much without immediate results is understandable, but also dangerous when taken out of context. In modern college basketball, where the use of the transfer portal has become a central strategy for assembling competitive rosters, financial and sporting management needs to be evaluated carefully. Kentucky, like so many other giants of the sport, invested heavily in talent, hoping they would form a cohesive chemistry on the court. But chemistry doesn't just come from star names or robust contracts. It is built through hard work, tactical adjustments, and, above all, patience. Pope, despite all the criticism, is still shaping his identity as the Wildcats coach. His post-game speech after the loss to Michigan State, although tense, reflected a man determined not to fail. He promised improvements, and that promise should not be ignored. The incident in the locker room before the game against Louisville and the tense moments during the timeouts against Michigan State were widely publicized, fueling debates about internal problems in the program. However, it is important to remember that college basketball is a high-pressure environment where emotions naturally run high. These episodes can be interpreted as signs of deep difficulties, but they can also be seen as reflections of a group still seeking to find its rhythm and unity. The key lies in how Mark Pope will conduct this consolidation process. He has the support of an icon like Rick Pitino, who knows well the challenges of rebuilding a team under the spotlight. Perhaps Pope needs to look back to Pitino's legacy and his own roots in the program to find inspiration and chart a path to recovery. The loss to Michigan State, while painful, should also be carefully analyzed. The Spartans surprised everyone with an exceptional performance from three-point range, something Pitino highlighted as atypical and difficult to predict. This doesn't mean Kentucky is free of flaws, but Mark Stoops' firm and strategic stance in the face of external pressure is evident. In times when fans are beginning to see possibilities, Stoops not only keeps his feet on the ground, but also demands the same from his team. He knows better than anyone that college football is a game of moments, and that each of those moments needs to be treated with the utmost seriousness. The conversation about qualifying for a bowl game, while natural among those passionate about the blue and white jersey, was quickly dismissed by the coach in a press conference marked by clarity and objectivity. No, he replied without hesitation when asked if he would address the topic with his players. For Stoops, the future cannot overshadow the present, and his current mantra is non-negotiable, one game at a time. This almost Spartan mentality reflects much more than just tactical discipline. It reveals a leader committed to shielding his team from distractions, even those laden with hope. It's important to highlight the context. A few weeks ago, the scenario seemed bleak. With a record of 2 wins and 5 losses, few would have bet that Kentucky could reverse expectations. However, the recent victory over Tennessee Tech brought not only 3 crucial points, but also a new energy to the locker room. And, in this delicate moment, Stoops' message sounds like a necessary warning. Confidence cannot be confused with complacency. Danger is always lurking, especially against opponents like Vanderbilt, who can easily surprise distracted teams. Stoops deeply understands this dynamic. His experience as head coach of Kentucky taught him that success doesn't come from grand projections or future promises, but from a meticulous execution of every detail in the present. When he says, "What's the point?" he's not being pessimistic, he's being pragmatic. He recognizes the importance of goals, but knows that they will only be achieved if the team is fully focused on the next challenge. Ultimately, Kentucky's comeback this season is living proof that the impossible can become possible, provided one works with consistency and determination. What's impressive about Stoops' approach is how he manages expectations without extinguishing the flame of motivation. He doesn't ignore the progress made so far. Far from it. But he also doesn't allow growing optimism to turn into distraction. His message is clear. The work is not yet finished. Every practice, every defensive formation, every offensive block must be executed with the same intensity, regardless of the bigger picture. This balance between ambition and caution is what defines great leaders and certainly places Stoops among them. Therefore, while fans dream of greater possibilities and discuss numbers and scenarios, Kentucky football remains under the guidance of a coach who knows exactly what he's doing. Mark Stoops isn't just shaping a team, he's building a mentality that prioritizes daily effort above any speculation. And in doing so, he not only protects his team from emotional pitfalls, but also paves the way for real achievements. It remains to be seen whether the players will fully absorb this philosophy when they step onto the field again. But if recent history is any indication, there are good reasons to believe they are ready to follow their leader's example. Leave your opinion. It's important.